Welcome to the Deep Dive. We jump right into tricky topics to give you the insights that really matter. And today, we're looking at something that's, well, surprisingly complex, making the perfect home for hamsters. You know, you see those small, bright cages in pet shops and think, that looks fine, right? But what if many of those actually set these little guys up for stress,
Right.
for a life where they just can't be,
Yeah.
well, hamsters? Okay, let's unpack this.
Exactly. And our job today is to wade through, quite a lot of stuff. DIY guides, welfare advice from groups like the RSPCA, ASPCA, scientific studies. We want to get clear on what really good hamster care looks like. It's not just about keeping them alive, is it? It's about giving them a rich, natural kind of life. And yeah, this deep dive should give you a shortcut, maybe challenge some ideas, and show you what truly informed care means for these small animals.
Okay, so let's maybe start with a bit of history, because that often explains, why we have the problems we have now. Hamsters, they weren't always pets. They came from labs originally.
Right, used for scientific tests. And when they moved into homes as companions, well, the manufacturers jumped in. But here's the crucial bit. The design wasn't driven by what hamsters needed. Not really.
It was about us, wasn't it? Human convenience, small cages, easy to stack, easy to fit in a room. Shelf space mattered more than, well, hamster space.
Precisely. And you still see that legacy today. Loads of cages look more like, I don't know, kids' toys. They're often marketed that way. And the tragedy is they just completely miss the mark on basic welfare for these incredibly active little animals.
Yeah. And that history, that focus on convenience,
Yeah.
how does that connect to the welfare issues we see now?
Well, it directly feeds into this misconception that hamsters are somehow disposable pets or, low maintenance. And what a lot of well-meaning owners don't realize is by using those unsuitable cages, they could actually be breaking animal welfare laws.
Really? Like actual laws?
Yeah, absolutely. In the UK, for example, the Animal Welfare Act requires a suitable environment. And as our sources show pretty clearly, many common commercial cages just aren't suitable. It's a serious point, ethically and legally, even for a tiny pet.
Wow. Okay. And a huge part of that suitable environment has to be space, right? Just sheer size. But this is where it gets really confusing if you're a new owner. You start looking online and you see all these different minimums.
Oh, yeah, it's a minefield.
Like the ASPCA might say 200 square inches. Then you see 450 quoted in North America. Over here in the UK, maybe 620. Then Germany's TVT, their vet association, says 775 square inches. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
How do you make sense of that? Are some of these official numbers just wrong? Or is there something else going on?
That's a really good question. And it gets to a key difference. Minimum versus recommended. Think of it like this. A minimum is, well, it's like saying you can live in a tiny studio flat. Legally, yes. But are you thriving? Probably not.
Okay, I see. So the bare minimum isn't necessarily good.
Exactly. A minimum is often just the smallest space an animal can be kept in without it being actively cruel. It's not about happiness or natural behavior. And honestly, a lot of those older minimums were based on what was easy to buy, like a standard 20-gallon fish tank or those IKEA bins people used. Not really based on hamster biology.
Right. Based on products, not science.
Pretty much. But the consensus now from the big welfare groups like Blue Cross, TV2, they're pretty clear. They recommend at least 100 centimeters by 50 centimeters,
Which is
about 775 square inches. And that's for all hamsters, even the little dwarf ones. That's the starting point they say is needed.
okay, 775 square inches. That's already way bigger than those tiny starter cages. But is even that enough?
Yeah.
Because I came across this study, Kay Fisher's study from 2007. It looked at Syrian hamsters in different sized cages.
Ah, yes, the Fisher study. That one really made waves.
It found that even in 775 square inches, hamsters were still chewing the bars, which suggests stress, right? And Fisher concluded they actually need like 550 square inches. Double that recommendation. That's huge. Did that surprise you when you first saw it?
It's definitely eye-opening, isn't it? It really drives home the point. Bigger is always better. Always. That 1,550 number isn't just random. It reflects their deep-seated need for space to, do hamster things. Roam, forage, burrow.
So what happens when they don't get that space? You mentioned bar chewing. Are there other signs, these boredom behaviors?
Yeah, and it's important to see them for what they are: distress signals, not cute habits. Bar biting is a big one. It can cause nasty sores on their nose and mouth, even mess up their teeth alignment, so eating becomes hard.
Ouch.
Then there's cage aggression or pacing, just walking back and forth along the walls endlessly. You might see monkey barring, where they climb the bars constantly, risking falls, or even just lethargy, becoming really inactive. That can be a sign of serious chronic stress.
So these things that people maybe think are just what hamsters do, They're actually not normal.
They're common in small cages, definitely, but they are absolutely not normal, healthy behaviors. They're screaming, my environment isn't right. And that chronic stress, it leads to health problems. It can shorten their lifespan. And fun fact, female Syrians, notoriously hard to please. They often need even more space to be content.
Wow. Okay. So it really sounds like we've been maybe unintentionally giving our hamsters the equivalent of a tiny studio apartment when they needed a mansion. So if the small cages are out and even some popular DIYs aren't quite right, what should we be aiming for? How do we design this hamster dream home?
Right. Let's talk practical solutions.
The IKEA Detolf, that glass cabinet laid on its side, that was popular for a while, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Good floor space in theory. But the big problem is depth. It's just too shallow for the deep bedding Syrians especially need. Once you put in a decent wheel, hides. There's no room left to burrow properly.
Okay, so Detolf is maybe not the best for Syrians. What are the better options, especially DIY?
There are some great ones now. IKEA PAX wardrobe conversions are fantastic. A single PAX unit gives you about 100 by 58 centimeters, nicely over that 100 by 50 minimum.
Oh, nice.
And if you connect two, you get a massive space, over 1.1 square meters, a real palace. Custom wooden builds are also excellent because you can make them exactly the size you want. Aiming for something like 150 or 180 centimeters long by 60 centimeters deep is a brilliant goal.
So really big.
Yep. Even linking two large glass tanks can work. And bin cages, large plastic storage bins, are a super affordable DIY route. You can often make one for around, say, $40, $50 in materials.
And you see some amazing custom builds online too, right? Like Victoria Rachel's huge one.
Oh yeah, hers is incredible. Over 1,800 square inches, I think. Shows what's possible when you prioritize the animal's needs.
Okay, so size is key. But what goes inside this amazing space? What makes it truly enriching?
Right, it's not just about empty space. First up, deep bedding. This is crucial. Hamsters are burrowers. They need at least 6 to 8 inches, but honestly, 10 inches plus is better. That's like 20, 30 centimeters deep.
Wow, that deep. What kind of bedding?
Something that holds its shape for tunnels. Paper-based bedding is good. Aspen shavings, hemp, spruce shavings, those work well. And a good tip is to mix in some orchard grass hay. It helps the burrows hold their structure.
Okay, deep, burrowable bedding. Got it. What else? Wheels.
Absolutely essential. But the right kind of wheel. It needs to be big enough, 28 to 32 centimeter diameter for a Syrian, maybe 20 centimeters for a dwarf. And it must have a solid running surface, no wire mesh.
Why no mash?
It can cause horrible foot injuries, a condition called bumblefoot, basically sores and infections on their feet. Really painful, solid surface only.
Right, solid wheel, big enough. What about places to hide?
Multiple hideouts are great, especially multi-chamber hides. They mimic natural burrows better, gives them choice, privacy, security, and a really important safety point. Anything heavy, ceramic hides, water bowls, the sand bath, put it on little stilts or a platform that rests on the cage floor, not just on top of the bedding.
What was that?
So if the hamster burrows underneath it, they don't get trapped or crushed if the bedding shifts.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Safety first. You mentioned a sand bath.
Yes. Essential for grooming. They roll in it to clean their fur. Often use it as a toilet, too, which helps keep the main bedding clean. Use dye-free, calcium-free reptile desert sand, not dust. Chinchilla dust is dangerous, causes respiratory problems.
Desert sand, not dust. Got it. Any specific needs there?
Roborovsky hamsters, the tiny desert ones, they often appreciate a larger sand area, maybe even a third of the cage.
Okay. And then enrichment, making it interesting.
Yeah. Scatter their food mix around the cage instead of just putting it in a bowl. Encourages natural foraging behavior, add different textures and scents. Cork logs, grapevine wood, mosses like pillow moss or sphagnum moss, safe herb sprays, dried flowers. Keeps things stimulating.
Sounds like creating a little ecosystem for them. What about ventilation? People worry about tanks getting stuffy, right?
Yeah, it's a common concern, especially with DIY lids. You need good mesh for cross-ventilation for sure, but ammonia buildup, usually not a huge issue with hamsters if you spot clean regularly. Their urine is quite concentrated, so it's less of a problem than with some other rodents in tanks. Front opening cages are generally less stressful too, as reaching in from above can feel predatory to them.
That's a really comprehensive list. Deep bedding, right wheel, hides on stilts, sand bath, enrichment, ventilation. It sounds like a lot, but also really rewarding to set up.
It absolutely is.
Okay, we've talked about safe bedding like paper and aspen, but there's one type of bedding that pops up in pet stores that looks, well, soft and fluffy, like cotton wool. It's often marketed as cozy bedding. Expert, what's the real story there? What does that stuff actually mean for a hamster?
Ah, the dreaded fluffy bedding. This stuff it's incredibly dangerous. A hidden trap. It looks harmless, maybe even nice, but it poses some really severe risks.
Like,
Entanglement is one. Their tiny legs or even their necks can get tangled in the fibers. It can cut off circulation, cause injuries, even strangulation. But the biggest danger, honestly, is internal impaction.
impaction, you mean if they eat it?
Exactly. If they pouch it and swallow it, those fibers don't break down. They can block up their intestines, leading to, well, catastrophic internal damage, ruptured colons. It's often fatal.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
It really is. And tragically, it happens. There's a documented case, a Syrian hamster called Poppy. The postmortem confirmed it. Fluffy bedding, specifically a brand called Rosewood Soft and Safe, caused a fatal blockage. And this isn't just, hearsay. Major charities, RSPCA, Blue Cross, the Royal Veterinary College, they all explicitly warn against using these products.
So the experts are clear. Don't use it.
Absolutely clear. Yet, you still find it on the shelves in some big pet stores.
Why? If it's known to be so dangerous, why is it still sold? Is it ignorance? A
Ah,
loophole?
or
Just putting profit over safety?
that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's baffling and, frankly, quite infuriating when the evidence is so strong.
Wow. That's, yeah, deeply unsettling. Okay, this has been incredibly eye-opening. I think the key things to take away are just how vital proper space is, much more than we might think. Understanding the real dangers lurking in some seemingly innocent products like that fluffy bedding, and how setting up an enriched natural environment isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely fundamental for their well-being.
Exactly. Being informed makes you their best possible advocate.
Absolutely. Providing a home where they can truly thrive, not just survive. That seems like the real goal, and it's clearly achievable with the right knowledge.
It really is. So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Reflecting on everything we've discussed, the evolving standards, the science behind their needs, what it takes for them to show natural behaviors, how might this change how you think about basic care, not just for hamsters, but for any animal, big or small? When we really understand and apply this knowledge, how profoundly does it affect their welfare? It challenges us, I think, to always look beyond convenience and truly see what the animal needs,